Of the many developments in American regional art in the 20th century, none has received more attention than the works of the aptly named Highwaymen, a group of African American painters from the Fort Pierce area of Florida. The widely collected paintings and awe-inspiring story of Florida's Highwaymen are now fully revealed in a new book from Abrams, The Journey of the Highwaymen, by Catherine Ems, a native of Fort Pierce. Ems traces these 26 African-American artists who, against all odds, thrived in a Jim Crow-era Florida to create one of the most inspiring and unorthodox art movements.
I would say good morning. My name is Al Black. I have some oil paintings. Wouldn't know what you all be interested if it wouldn't take up too much of you all's time. And most of the time they would say, come on in. And I would go in and tell them the name of the paintings.
The prolific Highwaymen artists produced an estimated 100,000 works and sold their hurriedly painted scenes, at times with the oil still wet, out of their cars, driving Florida's roads looking for buyers. Decades later, paintings would hang in the White House and the Florida governor's mansion.
In the run of a day, we may have done about 30 paintings, 35. I made the frames and did the background on the paintings, and several other artists that did backgrounds of the paintings.
If they give me 50 paintings, I would sell 50 paintings. At that time, I felt like I could sell some, you know. I wasn't afraid.
If you go out to the field, you make only like maybe 5 something per day. One time the women was getting $4.20 a day and the men getting $5.60. This was a way out.
Why work all day long for $5 or $6 and I can paint a painting, during this time I can paint a painting maybe about 35 or 40 minutes and sell it for $12.
And if you didn't sell anything that day, you start going to different houses, you know, in the community, or, you know, the white community, you go and knock on doors, and some people would slam the door or tell you to wait and call the cops. While you're sitting out there waiting on them to come back, the police ride up, you know.
There were some things that happened in my lifetime. I don't like to think about it, I don't even like to talk about it, but it happened.
In 2004, all 26 Highwaymen were inducted into the Florida Artists Hall of Fame, the state's highest cultural honor. The Highwaymen's story begins with the relationship between the renowned landscape painter A.E. Backus and his young black protege Alfred Hare.
We wouldn't be talking about any of the Highwaymen if it wasn't for Backus.
Anybody was interested in art, he let them in his door.
If you didn't have nowhere to stay, he'd tell you, come on in. He wasn't no shackster. He was all right.
Nobody bothered him about who he had at his house. I mean, I won't say it quite like that. It wasn't liked by some of the whites, but it didn't matter to him. Mr. Backus had Alfred on his arm, almost like on his arm. If he went to the Bahamas, he took Alfred. If he went to Haiti, he'd take Alfred. Wherever he went, it was just a normal thing that Alfred had the privilege to go.
Alfred Hare viewed painting as a path to more than just financial freedom. He wanted to be a millionaire. Well on his way, and with a couple of Cadillacs to his name, in 1970, at just age 29, Hare was tragically gunned down at Eddie's place in a barroom brawl. But his work lives on and is now more collected than ever.
He had a way about him that everybody liked, white and black.
I saw so many people there, white and black, that was concerned about Alfred. And I didn't know that he had left that type of impact upon people's lives.
The Highwaymen would often use cheap building material called Upson board in lieu of canvases, and inexpensive crown moldings for frames. Painting in multiples, some Highwaymen produced over 30 paintings a day in makeshift factories, nailing Upson board to trees. Unwittingly, the artists combined the physicality of action painting of Jackson Pollock with the detached, mercenary focus of Andy Warhol. For the first time, this new book with over 200 full-color reproductions presents the art according to 13 templates, which are essentially categories of seascapes and landscapes that give a comprehensive idea of the subject matter that both Bacchus and the highwaymen depicted. One is a practiced approach, displaying Bacchus's vision, the essential primer that captures so masterfully the natural beauty of Florida. The other is a practical approach that gets around the constraints of time, materials, and society, and in doing so fully engages the viewer in a unique, unparalleled expression of the Florida landscape, now all but vanished. According to art historian Gary Libby, in spite of the inferior materials they used and the primitive technical approaches to painting, some highwayman art seems to be headed into the permanent history of art in Florida and the South. Through extensive research and interviews with all living highwaymen, The Journey of the Highwayman brings the story of this inspired and unorthodox art movement to life.